Commander Varric Terran stood solemnly on the command deck of the Star Union vessel Vanguard, his gaze locked on the lush world of Tera Prime. The planet's serene blues and greens belied its inhabitants' ferocious reputation. Once, Tera Prime had been a beacon of potential, with its inhabitants poised for initiation into the Star Union. Now, it was the den of the most formidable warriors the cosmos had ever known. "Are the Aegis barriers active?" he inquired, his voice steady despite the underlying tension. Lieutenant Commander Syl Rayner affirmed, "Yes, Commander. We're in a geostationary position above New Angeles, cloaked by our Phantom Cloak modules. We're invisible to their rudimentary scans, ensuring our surveillance remains undetected." Varric nodded, reassured. Decades had passed since the Tera Prime Coalition had severed all ties with the Star Union, their technological growth exploding in ways that defied logic. They had scavenged and repurposed alien technologies, wrapping their planet in a cocoon of satellites and cryptic networks. Slipping by unnoticed was a delicate dance, but Varric knew the stakes. He needed a first-hand account of their intentions after years of silence. However, a sudden alert broke his contemplation. "Commander, we have intercepted a transmission from the planet's surface," Syl reported, her brow creased in disbelief. "That's impossible," Varric snapped, approaching the communications hub. "Confirm its origin." "Affirmative," the comms officer replied. "It emanated from New Angeles." Tera Prime's detection capabilities should not have been able to pierce their cloaking, unless... "Patch it through," Varric ordered. A voice boomed through the Vanguard's channel. "Star Union vessel, this is Grand Marshal Elian Voss of the Tera Prime Coalition. We have been aware of your incursion since you breached our space. Power down and prepare for boarding." Varric's heart skipped a beat. They were compromised. "Your orders, Commander?" Syl asked, her eyes reflecting the crew's rising alarm. "Open a return channel," Varric responded, his mind racing for a solution. "This is Commander Varric Terran of the Star Union vessel Vanguard," he began, his voice projecting a calm he did not feel. "We come in peace. We've observed your retreat from galactic affairs and wish only to ensure Tera Prime's well-being. We mean no harm." A chilling pause followed before Voss replied, "Your presence here is an affront to our sovereignty. You were warned of the consequences. Depart now or face them." Varric's hope for a peaceful resolution was fading. "Grand Marshal Voss, we recognize your caution, but isolation is not the path to prosperity. The cosmos can benefit from Tera Prime's vitality. Consider rejoining our assembly." "You speak of peace, yet your intentions are clear," Voss cut in sharply. "Leave now, or we will take appropriate measures." With a swift gesture, Varric ended the transmission. "Syl, raise the Aegis barriers to full. Charge the fusion blasters." The Vanguard's crew sprang into action. A soft hum filled the deck as the Aegis barriers powered up. Outside, Tera Prime maintained its deceptive tranquility. "Commander, energy surges detected from the planet," the science officer alerted. "Quantum lance arrays powering up." Brilliant streaks of light surged from Tera Prime, converging to strike the Vanguard with precision. The vessel quaked from the impact. "Status?" Varric called out. "Aegis barriers at 80%. The arrays are unlike any particle weaponry we've seen," Syl reported, concern etched into her features. Varric's eyes narrowed. "Return fire. Target their quantum lance arrays," he commanded. The fusion blasters unleashed their fury upon Tera Prime, searing through the void with their radiant fury. But as the Vanguard's might bore down upon the surface, Tera Prime unveiled its true defense. Countless quantum lance arrays, previously hidden beneath the planet's surface, emerged, their barrels gleaming with an ominous glow. Varric watched as their firepower dissipated harmlessly against an invisible barrier. Their defense grid is beyond our intel, he muttered. Syl, initiate tactical retreat protocols. Plot a warp jump. As Syl relayed the orders, the Vanguard's engines roared to life, the ship veering away from the onslaught. Tera Prime's response was swift and devastating. A salvo of energy surged forth, slicing through space with deadly precision. The Aegis barriers flickered, struggling under the barrage. Syl, deploy the echo decoys, Varric shouted as explosions rocked the deck. With a deft command, Syl launched a series of countermeasures. The decoys burst into existence, mimicking the Vanguard's thermal echo in a desperate bid to confuse the enemy's targeting systems. It bought them precious moments. The quantum lance array's next volley scattered, striking the false signatures as the Vanguard slipped into the safety of warp space. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, but Varric's expression remained grave. They had narrowly escaped, but the incident had laid bare the Tera Prime Coalition's might. Their technology had not only caught up to the Star Union's, but had potentially surpassed it. 20 years later, Varric, now an ambassador, stood before the ruins of the Star Union's capital on the planet LAA. Tera Prime had not simply defended its sovereignty. It had expanded, its fleets moving through the stars with an unquenchable hunger for dominion. As he walked through the shattered spires and fallen banners, Varric couldn't help but reflect on the irony. The Star Union, once a beacon of unity and strength, now lay in ruins, and Tera Prime, the species they had sought to uplift, now reigned over them. The Grand Marshal, Elian Voss, now Supreme Commander of the Tera Prime Coalition, met him amidst the rubble. "You see what your underestimation has wrought, Varric?" Voss's voice was not triumphant, but heavy with sorrow. "We sought only to protect ourselves, but in doing so, we have become what we feared." Varric nodded, his gaze lost in the distance. "Perhaps one day, we will find balance once more," he offered. But the words felt hollow, even to him. Voss turned away, his silhouette a stark contrast against the burning skyline. "Perhaps," he conceded. "But for now, we rebuild from the ashes of old empires, wary of the power we wield and the darkness it beckons." With that, Voss departed, leaving Varric alone with his thoughts. The lesson was clear. The perils of underestimation are profound, and the consequences of wielding unchecked power even more so. As the stars began to twinkle above the ruins of LAA, Varric Terran pondered the uncertain future, one where Tera Prime's ambition would shape the destiny of the cosmos. In the 2 decades since their narrow escape from Tera Prime, Varric had risen through the ranks of the Star Union's diplomatic corps. He had warned the High Council of Tera Prime's potential, urging increased vigilance and preparedness. But his warnings went unheeded, dismissed as the paranoid ramblings of a traumatized veteran. Now, as he walked amidst the wreckage of the once great capital, the price of that arrogance was laid bare. The city's proud towers had been reduced to rubble, its walkways strewn with the scorched remnants of its people and defenders. The acrid smell of smoke still lingered in the air. Varric's heart ached at the scale of the devastation, but he could not claim surprise. Tera Prime's appetite for expansion had been clear, yet the Star Union clung to fantasies of peace and prosperity, even as its neighbors fell one by one. Only now, with their capital in ruins and their fleets decimated, did the truth stare them in the face. They had brought this fate upon themselves. Their desperate pleas for mercy and diplomacy were rewarded with orbital bombardments, reducing their proudest monuments to dust. Approaching footsteps drew Varric from his bitter reflections. He turned to face the man who had conquered a quarter of the galaxy in mere decades. Supreme Commander Voss stood tall amidst the wreckage, his dark armor scarred by battle. The years had etched grim lines upon his face, but his eyes still burned with an unrelenting zeal. So here we are, Varric, at the end of your civilization's hubris, Voss rumbled. Though his victory was absolute, he took no pleasure in it. We offered you so many chances to change course, he continued, gesturing to the devastated skyline. At any point, you could have embraced wisdom and avoided this fate. But you placed too much faith in the foundations of your empire, and foundations can crumble. Varric bristled at the criticism, even as the truth of Voss's words sunk in. You speak as if conquest and domination will lead to a better future, he replied bitterly. Yes, we underestimated your might and overestimated our own. But your hands are soaked in the blood of billions. An empire built on fear and destruction can never endure. Voss's expression hardened, the lines on his face growing deeper. I take no pleasure in any of this, he growled, but you gave us no choice. We pleaded for equality and respect, only to be dismissed and patronized. Did you think we would remain isolated and obedient forever? He turned and began to walk through the rubble, gesturing for Varric to follow. We expanded our reach to protect ourselves from your arrogance. Each world we absorbed only fueled your delusions of superiority. You left us no alternatives. Varric hurried to keep pace as Voss continued. There were alternatives, he insisted. Diplomacy, cooperation, treated as equals. Voss whirled suddenly, his eyes ablaze. Equals? We were never equals in your eyes. We were your subjects, to be managed and contained. Even now, amidst the ashes of your civilization, you cling to this poisonous belief in your supremacy. He resumed walking, his armor hissing and creaking. But look now where it has led you. Your worlds conquered and burning, your fleets shattered, your capital occupied. I stand here not as your equal, but your better. Though the words stung, Varric could not find the spirit to argue. Silently, they walked on through the fallen city, the extent of the Star Union's folly surrounding them. Finally, Voss stopped and turned to face Varric once more. His fiery gaze had dimmed, replaced by a profound sorrow. All we wanted was a voice and a place in this galaxy, he said quietly. Instead, we have been forced to take it by might and bloodshed. Varric met his old adversary's mournful eyes. Perhaps it is not too late for a new path, he offered gently. From these ashes we can forge a future where all worlds have a voice. It will not be easy, and forgiveness will not come quickly, but we must try. Voss considered this, then nodded slowly. If any survive to hear it, I will offer that chance, he conceded. But the damage is done, and the scars will linger. He placed a gauntleted hand on Varric's shoulder. Go now and see what can be rebuilt, Voss commanded, not unkindly. But never forget the sins that precipitated this ruin. They must not be repeated. With that, the Supreme Commander turned and strode away into the devastated city. Varric watched him go, then turned towards the flickering lights of survivor encampments. There he would begin the long, painful work of reconstruction. And perhaps in time, seeds of hope could emerge from the ashes of despair.